Space, the final frontier. This is a review show for Star Trek The Next Generation. Its continuing mission to explore interesting plot points, to seek out goofs and continuity errors, to boldly go where no other TNG review show has gone before. It's Wednesday. It's 8 o'clock. It's the TNG review show. What? Good evening, and welcome to the TNG review show with myself, Montalban, and my co-hosts, Mazzy McBob, Tammykins Turner. What's that little thing called again? Noopsie or something?
Noopsie.
Moopsie. And Chief Sean. Good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday. We're back again, consigning another episode of Star Trek The Next Generation to our vault. And yes, I'm over my cold from the weekend, so that's good news. I did, after last week's show, I did come down with a cold, and but I'm over it now, so fighting fit again. How? Sorry, Terry.
Out of sick bay.
Yes,
you are.
Yes, you were in sick bay, weren't you, last week? I think I must have contracted it over the interwebs, and yeah. But no cortical stimulators or anything needed for me today. I'm fine. But how is everybody else? Mazzy Bob, how are you this week?
I'm good. I'm coming at you from a hotel room in Bedford. So I did buy myself some wine, but all I have is like a hotel coffee mug, no glasses. So I'm drinking wine from a mug.
Well, I have to say, it's coming through quite well for a hotel internet.
Well, I did pay for super fast Wi-Fi for 2 weeks, but the lighting is very dark in here. I've got all the lights on, but they're all like these just little wall-mounted little uplighters. So I'm a bit murky and dark, but yeah, hopefully the signal should be good.
Yeah, very good, very good. Very cool.
It just looks like night shift in engineering.
Yeah.
Back when I had a less sophisticated setup, I used to have a 32-inch telly as a second monitor, and I just open up like a white document, like a white. No, I keep saying writer. That's the LibreOffice. A white Word document, just so the whole screen to be white, just to reflect light. The things you do to get the lighting right.
That's true.
Yeah, I've got a TV next to me actually. I wonder if I put the TV on, whether it'll give me some light.
Yeah, well, if you could plug the HDMI from the TV into your laptop and use it as a second monitor, and then just get a Word document, just a white Word document, just open it, then it'll just act as a diffuser and it'll brighten you up.
I might go on mute and play with the TV for a moment.
You're fine.
That could work.
You're fine.
And that's a MacGyver.
Tavykins, how's your week been? How are you feeling this week?
I am recovering. We are so much. I'm better, no flu, but I do feel like my body was drugged behind the back of a pickup truck.
Oh. That's
and
not
I'm
good.
just getting up Chris Farley style, dusting myself off and trying to carry on with the week.
I forgot Tommy had a chief for tech support. Nice.
I do.
Well, it's good to see you're well anyway, and you're out of sick bay, back in engineering where you belong. Chief Sean, how are you doing?
I'm well, thanks. I didn't have to go to Dublin for the first time in 3 or 4 weeks, so more rested and not sick with anything. So yeah, good week so far.
Good.
Weather's a bit cold and gone a bit crap again, but other than that, I'm well.
Other than the weather getting you down. But it is February now. We're into February. Spring is nearly upon us. And the daffodils are out in the street as I take Chewie for a walk.
I'm seeing some of them,
Yeah, we're nearly there.
You're a little bit further south than me, so you might get them out a week sooner. But I saw they're ready to bud in the next few days, yeah.
Yeah. And good evening to everyone in live chat. Who have we got along so far this evening? We've got Ruth. Good evening, Ruth. We've got Stu Plum. Yo, peeps. Good evening, Stu Plum. And we've got the Workmeister. The Workmeister. Chewie's trying to... There's nobody in the house, is there, Chewie? So you're like, where is everybody? It's time you play with me now. It's like, no, Choo-Choo's, I'm afraid. I've got a job to do now. Sorry, buddy. Yes, good evening to everyone in live chats. What have you got in terms of blood wine this evening? Anyone?
I'm on a invisible can.
An invisible Bulmers, a half-cloaked. Yeah. A half-cloaked Bulmers. Yeah.
Magners, as you call it in the UK.
Oh,
local stuff made half an hour here.
Yeah, we have both Bulmers and Magners.
Well, yeah, but there's a brand called Bulmers in Ireland, and then when they started selling in the UK, they had to call it Magners because Bulmers already existed, basically. The same way we have an Irish company called Pennies who sold cheap clothing, and then when they tried to sell it abroad because of JC Pennies, they couldn't sell it, so they came up with the name Primark. So just one of those things.
There you go.
So when you come to Ireland and everyone keeps talking about pennies, they actually mean Primark.
Right. Stu Plum's got a homebrew Malbec. Very nice.
Oh, nice.
Earlier in the week.
Oh, we have Tired.
I have a Chardonnay left over from last night. I did open it last night when I got home from the Argyle game where we got thrashed by Leeds. So I thought, I'm having a couple of glasses of wine. Commiserate. And yes. Well, this evening we are consigning to the vault's dark page.
Oh, we lost Monty, did we? Or did we lose me?
Hello?
Oh, he's there for me.
I think we just lost Sean.
Oh.
That was Sean disappeared. Hello, Sean?
Sorry, that was me that went. Excuse me. Sorry.
It was you. You disappeared on us for a moment.
Did you get a lovely freeze frame going?
Yeah, a little bit. You were looking off to one side, kind of like...
Love it.
Yeah. Good evening, Tired Time Lord. I hope you are well. I've been watching some of his videos today. Okay, so yes, tonight we are discussing Dark Page, which is episode 7 of season 7 of Star Trek Next Generation, production number 40277-259. It first aired in the US on the 1st of November 1993 and was the 158th episode of Star Trek The Next Generation to be both produced and released. And do you know what? I'm such a spoon. Hang on a minute. I didn't put down who who wrote and directed it.
just while you're doing that, just a quick bit of news roundup. The Saturn Awards were at the weekend. You familiar with the Saturn Awards? They're like the sci-fi and fantasy and horror awards.
No.
Okay, well, TNG won a Lifetime Award. Picard won Best Show. Where Patrick Stewart won Best Actor. Wow. And a couple of other awards. Paul Wesley, who played Kirk, who wears this uniform, the Strange New World, was runner-up. And Brent Spiner won an award for Best. Brent Spiner won an award for Best Supporting Actor. So they sort of swept the awards. With regards to Star Trek Legacy, that kind of pushed it a step further because they just wiped out every category pretty much. It was a hell of a catch. Sorry, I meant to bring that in, but I obviously froze, so that didn't work.
Personally, I think it's a bit of a sort of sorry state of sci-fi at the moment when Picard sort of cleans up at the Saturn Awards. It's, I think. But anyway.
Well, where's your loyalty?
At least somebody's enjoying Star Trek to the extent that for them it's the best thing ever.
Exactly.
Well,
yes.
Well, next year we're going to be in an interesting situation because we're going to have USS Callister, which is based on that Black Mirror episode, the knockoff Star Trek one. There's still a Galaxy Quest show on the books for Paramount Plus, and that could be coming out. And there is possibly a 4th season of The Orville. So all 3 of those things could drop in 2025, and it'd be very, very interesting if there's 3 Trek clones on at the same time as normal Trek as to who would win. But yeah, Picard won best science fiction show. And Andor and Bad Batch won a few things. Patrick Stewart won his award.
Well, that's great.
Jonathan
I mean,
Frakes.
as Tavi says, it validates that they must be doing well and people are liking it out there.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I'm glad to see it. It just people who greenlight shows look at these things. So here's hoping it makes a difference.
Yeah. I didn't write down who wrote it, and it was written. This episode was written by Hilary Bader, and it was. I think her 3rd writing credit for TNG after the Lost and Heroes Worship. And it was directed by Les Landau, who we've talked about many times before. And it was his second to last directing credit for TNG out of 34. So 33rd episode he's done out of 34. So he's nearly there, is Les Landau. Was there anything else you wanted to say about that, Mouse?
Probably. Where's my notes? Hang on.
Les Landau did a lot of Voyager, I think.
Just that so Jerry Taylor recalled there was some reluctance to do the episode after Phantasms. I mean, I'm not 100% sure why, whether they thought they were too similar, but they basically had nothing else ready to go. The idea for Dark Page had been around for a long time, and they had tried sort of different themes, and it was, the idea was that somebody had some deep dark secret that another person then had to draw out of them in some way. Originally they were going to have it as Dr. Crusher and another female doctor, maybe as a LaForge story, maybe as Crusher and Troi, and obviously eventually they struck upon the idea of having Lwaxana in it, and as they were talking about through, it kind of worked. So that's what they settled on, but it took a while to formalize it.
I would suspect it's maybe because, although Phantasms doesn't quite count as a bottle show, it comes very close to it, where this is a true bottle show. So maybe that's what they're thinking. Yeah, they tend to split up the bottle shows.
Maybe they both have kind of dreamscapes, and maybe there's just elements of it that seemed a bit too similar. But yeah.
Yes, I will comment about the fisheye lens corridor scenes later on.
Yeah, that's right. We just said in Phantasms that they don't use a Steadicam very often, and they do that in this episode right after that last one. So yeah.
Everyone's expecting a wardrobe change, Sean.
It's a bit early for that, and it's just keep Tavi on her toes, so she has to keep looking for things for bingo. So
that reminds me. Could you stick the link to bingo card in the private chat so I can put it in the live chat? Just
Is
Did
there
you
a
know
way
Wookie called you the hottest Star Trek fan, Sean?
Oh, that was
the only award I think
should
go out to the hottest Star Trek fan. You know who I'm talking about. And then he said, Shawnee Warney.
Shawnee Warney.
Shawnee
Do you know the do you know that Monty, in there you add that little line, join the discussion, on when you're setting up the blurb. Is that just auto added every time?
The what, sorry?
Or how does that work? Do you know on the on the description on the YouTube?
Oh yeah.
On the YouTube, talking like my father. Is that automatically added?
No.
The YouTube.
I add that.
Oh, okay. No, I was just thinking you could auto add the bingo if that was the case. Doesn't matter.
Oh no, I can do. Yes, that's a very good idea, Sean. Thank you. Yes, I'll do that for next week. Very, very good idea. Yes. It's taken us to the 7th season to think of adding the bingo link to the stream description. That's amazing. I'm not quick. I've never been claimed I'm a quick man. But there you go. Anyway, for anyone that doesn't have a bingo card, I've just added the link to chat, so you can go and grab one and take part in Sean's... What's Sean going to say this week? Bingo. Yes. So, let's get on with the teaser, shall we? Oh, and you want some pictures, don't you?
Yes, please.
Let's get you a picture. Not the spinning wheel.
Well, I love Brent Spiner the most. Love Brent Spiner the most. This episode, Troi was looking fly the whole episode. I'm like, damn.
Sean is a disembodied head.
Oh my.
That couldn't possibly be a reference to anything.
It's Holly.
Completely normal. I don't know who that is. That's absolutely a reference that Tavi will not understand.
No.
that is quite good though.
All right, dudes.
What's happening then?
April, May, June, July, and August, fool.
Brilliant. Right.
Anyway,
leaving Red Dwarf behind.
You gave it away.
Oh, God. Because Tavi was never going to get it. So this episode this week opens.
I thought that was clever. That's all I'm saying.
It was very good. I was pretty impressed, Sean. That's pretty good. Every time it's like something new, Sean. I have to say you bring in a freshness to the stream. It's great.
Wookie thinks it was black body paint everywhere.
I upgraded my green screen. I upgraded my green screen, and I still have the old one. That's all it is. So I was like,
it's like Harry Potter's cloak of invisibility.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Okay, so this episode opens with a Captain Slog, where Picard tells us that a delegation of telepathic aliens called the Cairn have come aboard. They have no concept of the spoken language, so Lwaxana Troi has arrived to teach them. She's been working with them. So in 10 Forward, Lwaxana regaling Picard on how she's been absolutely key to helping the Cairn interact with other species. and how she's going to be centrally important to bringing them into the Federation. She introduces Data and Geordie to her star pupil, Hendry, who has picked up talking quicker than most of the Cairns. But as Troy's introducing her, she comes over a bit funny and claims to be a little tired. What do you want to tell us about Hendry there, Mazam Bob?
Well, the obvious, Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah.
I think this was like one of her first showings, right? And then after this, she was in what's it called? That vampire.
Interview with a Vampire.
That's the one. And then that's how she sort of started making it big after that. So yeah.
Yep, Kirsten Dunst.
Oh, she in Jumanji too. I didn't know that she was in.
Sorry,
Oh, yeah.
Maz is giving out about the sound of my typing. There is a way of changing your mic so it doesn't pick up noises below a certain level so you can filter it out. But until I ever get my house sorted, I don't want to start messing with things, because when I have a proper permanent office, I'll start messing with those things. But for the time being, I'm just too
Type
lazy
stealthily. Do you like
I think you
stealth
can.
mode?
I think you can get a quieter keyboard, but I had a problem where I had a different keyboard for my work computer than I had for my home computer, and I kept making typing mistakes, so now I have the same for both, and I'm going to be honest, they're cheap, because, well, there's actually 3 of them. Anyway, we won't get into it.
Okay.
Darn it. I think
Sorry. Rambling, sorry.
Where's my button?
Shut up, Sean.
Yeah.
Shut up, Sean.
Okay. She goes over and makes some small talk with Will and Mr. Worf, or Mr. Wolf, sorry, as she calls him, who tells her that he doesn't care for telepaths. But she puts his mind at rest by telling him that they couldn't read his brain anyway because it isn't sophisticated enough. To which Will finds really funny. He finds it really humorous until she tells him that she doesn't know why he's laughing. They can't communicate with him either. So he's not sophisticated enough, his brain. Deanna then enters looking fly with a pink and purple number. Sorry, it seems like... I will
just say, you can't trust what Lwaxana says, because in some episodes she can read Ferengi, and in other episodes she can't. So...
Yes. Trek Corps are... they need to put another hamster on there. Yeah, it looks pretty smart, doesn't it? I like that.
Yeah, it shows off her hips.
Good evening, Oscar. Welcome along to the stream, sir. Hope you're well.
Evening.
Yes, so Lwaxana introduces her to Marquez, who struggles with his words. And after introductions, Lwaxana scarpers with Hedry, leaving Marquez and Troi alone. And Marquez tells her that her mum's informed him that she's in need of a husband. And by some coincidence, he's in need of a wife. And she's like, "Damn you, mother!" And that is the end of the teaser.
I thought it looked kind of decent, though, of all the people she tried to hook him up with. I mean, he's got a goofy smile, but it was like a goofy smile that you like.
He's got a goofy smile, but apart from that, it's not a bad effort on Lwaxana's, compared to her previous attempts. Yeah,
it was a
and I imagine
for me. I was like, oh, he would make me smile with his goofy smile.
I imagine he would, eventually she'd understand how to read his telepathy and get used to it. I mean, obviously, she didn't have resistance at first, but, she'd tune in.
It takes her like one attempt, doesn't it, really? She fails at the first one.
Well, he can handle like a quick blast of it, but like to communicate constantly would take a bit of stamina. So I think she'd get better at it over time.
Anyway, it's question time. Sorry.
Look how much of a bombshell she looks in that photo. Look at her.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's a femme fatale in that. She looks could kill. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. type of face that, you know, if you were guilty of a crime and you're going no comment, she just stared at you like that, you just confess. Anyway, questions. This episode marks Magel's last TNG episode, but how many DS9s was she in? A1, B2, C3, or D4? And, yeah, I'm sorry, I planned these questions, I don't know what people are going to talk about. Shortly after this episode filmed, Kirsten Dunst moved on to what film starring Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, and Christian Slater of Star Trek 6 fame? Obviously, Christian Slater was in Star Trek 6, not Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise.
Oh.
Cool. So, Kirsten Dunst was actually 11 years old in this, by the way. So this is something you guys can tell me about. So you were saying earlier about like that, was it a Black Mirror episode?
Yes, Black Mirror
episode. Yeah, USS Callister, yeah.
And Kirsten Dunst was in that, right?
She was?
Don't think so. Oh, was she?
Oh, that's what it says in trivia. 24 years after appearing in this, Kirsten Dunst would appear in USS Callister, dealing with a sci-fi universe heavily inspired by Star Trek.
Wow.
So I haven't seen USS Callister, so I wasn't aware of this. But yeah, now you guys.
I don't remember.
Oh, it was 7 years ago. So believe it or not,
Time Lord saying no, she wasn't. Okay.
She wasn't one of the crew.
It says 2017, so yeah. Well, maybe that's completely wrong then. The only other thing that I have is regarding this guy on screen.
Sorry, just before we move on to that, Aaron Paul makes a vocal cameo appearance at the end of the episode while Plemons' fiance, Plemons is Matt Damon, Kirsten Dunst makes an uncredited appearance in the office background early on after asking the director while on set. So she's just in the background. She's not in the episode. But she's just, because she's the boyfriend of the guy who plays Captain Kirk, you know, the Matt Damon, the guy who looks like Matt Damon who's in Breaking Bad. She's just in the background, which I didn't notice at the time.
Yeah.
Right.
So just like a little uncredited cameo role then for no reason.
Just
a little uncredited cameo role for no reason. Okay.
I love it. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Exactly.
Much like Christian Slater in Star Trek 6. Sorry.
Exactly. So Norman Large, who plays what sounds like, it sounds like they're saying Magwes or something, but anyway, however you pronounce
it. Pronounced.
Oh no, yeah.
It's pronounced 5 different ways in the episode. It's Magwes, Maguess, Magwes, Magus.
Maquis. One of them says Maquis at one point.
Although he comes from a species that doesn't have a spoken language, so you can kind of forgive the fact that he doesn't have. They communicate by images. Sound is a sound referring to a person is a concept not known to them. So maybe that's why everyone, even in the same scene, 2 people say it differently. So don't worry about it too much.
So he was also quite a few cool other characters, actually. I don't know if you've recognised him from other things, but he was.
I see him as a Romulan.
Morale. Yeah, so he was Proconsul Morale in Unification. He was also the Coberian captain in Duet. So that's the one where Janeway is passing through that area of space and she's hiding those telepaths.
Oh,
and he keeps coming on board and playing all this like classical music, and they have a bit of a chemistry. Also a Romulan criminal uncredited in If Wishes Were Horses, and in Vortex, and an Ocampa man in Coldfire. So he's been in quite a few other episodes, variety of different aliens.
And he was in Odo's office as one of the criminals, as a photo from when he was on set, from the continuity photo. So he's in about 20 episodes of D Space Nine in Odo's like mugshot list, or top 10 most wanted.
Oh, because he's on the wall. Yes.
Yeah, because they used to take a Polaroid of them in makeup for continuity for the next day when they had to do the makeup again, and someone just took a couple of those and just cut them out to make the villains, and then they changed them periodically. But someone has nerdily gone through and freeze framed it and found them, and every episode he's appeared in, and there's like 12 of them or something. But he played 5 characters, and that's a lot for Trek. I mean, 7 is kind of the limit, but I mean that's a hell of a lot.
Yes, your bingo automatically gets triggered. Yes, Tabby has that all under control.
She adds it all up at the end, so if you miss any, then she'll figure it out for you.
Yeah.
Well, Ruth has been known to ask me a question in order to complete a line on occasion, but
it's been known.
That's true. You can try and like tease things out of the door by asking questions.
It's all fair game and fun.
Yeah, it's been known. I think he looks a bit like that. I can't remember the actor's name, which is not helpful. But you know that guy, the actor that played the Trill, who...
yes, yeah, he
to
has
be
the same
joined.
intense stare. Yeah. Odan.
Yeah. I think he was in Gremlins 2. He was like the owner of the tower block in Gremlins 2. I can't
Robert
remember
Picardo
his
was in
name.
Gremlins too.
Yeah. I think this guy looks a little bit like him.
Robert Picardo from Voyager, of course.
Yeah. Anyway. So what's the answer to the questions then, Sean?
Okay, well, it is C3. She was in 3 episodes of Deep Space
I
Nine.
knew there was one I couldn't remember.
Yeah, she's the Gratitude Festival, the one where she marries Odo, and another one. I can't remember the other one off the top of my head. And yeah, you should all have got Interview with the Vampire because
Lanky
Mazza
dude,
didn't say
yeah.
it.
Stu Plum seems to be the only one who got it.
Was it? I think Maz said
got it.
C as
Oh
well.
no, Matt got it.
Yeah, Maz says C as well. Yeah. Well done, guys. You've done well there.
Oh, I thought I might have had a list of the episodes here, but I don't. But yeah, I did know it was 3. Cool.
Right.
So everybody got Interview with a Vampire, did they? So that mean everybody's on the wheel?
Everybody's on the wheel.
Can someone tell me the first role Majel played in Star Trek?
Number 1.
Nurse.
Number one, yeah.
Yeah, number 1.
Yeah. In the Note Where No Man Has Gone Before. Correct answer.
Right, I think that's everyone.
Ooh, Richard Foma's in the house.
Good evening, Richard. I hope you're well. Right, I'm spinning the wheel. Let's see who's it's going to land on. Oh, I thought it was
she was
gonna
in
be
the
me for a
episode.
minute. But it's not.
Rita.
It's Ruth.
Ruth.
That's the stupid freaking question. Ruth, the Admiral.
Well done, Ruth. Some extra points to you. Some extra TNG points winging its way your way. Right, Act 1. The next morning, Lwaxana catches up with Deanna in a corridor, but Deanna is not pleased with her mum's interference. Until again, they argue, but Lwaxana appears to be tired. The elder Troi brushes it off, as she's just expressing how much her daughter means to her. That's all. It's quite funny, and they're in this lift, and they're arguing away, and this guy's looking really uncomfortable in the background.
Well, I think they're arguing telepathically, and then she just
That's
has
right.
an outburst and speaks out.
Yeah.
But maybe by the way they're staring at each other or hinting. But actually, you know, not shot. They do. You could believe they're mother and daughter. They actually do look
Yeah.
reasonably similar,
Yeah.
despite Majel being some sort of other European and Marina being Greek. But it works.
So Deanna goes to her office and finds Mackie, whatever, waiting for her there. He tells her that her mum has an image of her in her mind, but she is even more beautiful IRL. He tells Deanna how different it is to communicate with Lwaxana than any other can, because there is a part of her that is dark and cannot be seen. And Troi understands this as her private thoughts and explains to him that amongst, well, pretty much everyone else in the galaxy, this is perfectly normal, though not for the Cairns. In 10 Forward, Will and Deanna discuss her mum. She seems unusually subdued, not her normal flamboyant self. And then, lo and behold, Lwaxana appears. She storms in, yelling at Will to leave her daughter alone. It's all his fault Deanna isn't married yet. And Troi tells her that's enough and takes her to sick bay. The rest of the bar are sat there thinking, oh, there's another mother pissed off.
Right.
I was just going to say that the guy in the back of the lift, because he had the modern uniform, he didn't have the one with the zip, and the way his body type was, I was wondering, is he maybe the stand-in for Riker because his body type, height, and broadness of his shoulders is quite similar? And yeah, he was the stand-in for Riker from season 4 to 7. His name is Richard Sarstadt.
Yeah. Good spot, Sean.
Yeah,
top
it just looked
spotting.
Riker-ish enough. Yeah, and he was in a load of other episodes, but yeah, anyway, that's the main one.
But I see the point, you know, it is quite, she has dressed in this episode up to this point quite, like, subdued for Lwaxana, you know. She's,
drab.
She's normally got, like, loads of accessories and things, isn't she? She kind of jingles as she walks type thing, you know.
Surprised she even has anything drab to wear.
Here she comes, just walking down the street. Shuffling show. Anyway, we're done with that.
Where's my button? No. Yes, so she takes her mum to sick bay. The doc gives her a look over and determines that her psilocinin, I think that's how you say it, levels are low. It's used in telepathy and has run low because of her work with the cairn. Troi tells her mum that she will help her work things out with them verbally, much to her mum's annoyance, who's not happy. She wants to use her mind. Tabbykins, are you eating nori? Asks the tired Time Lord. She does. It's her.
Yes, indeed.
It's her TNG review snack of choice. Though I do make her go on mute. So
it's fairly crunchy, yeah.
I spare you the ASMR. Yeah. So the Troys show the cairn around the ship, and they go to the Arboretum and teach them about poetry and the concept of heaven. But Troy's struggling to get the concepts across, so her mum can't help herself but use her telepathy and find that she's tired again, so she has a little sit down. Upon seeing Hendril trip and fall into the pond, Lwaxana collapses, and Deanna calls a medical emergency. And that is the end of Act 1. And it's question time.
I was going to type this out, but I'll just say it because I have to copy and paste into the chat. Tired is saying he likes to make sushi and have seats of it in his cabinet. And just as a weird fact, there's an episode of Kitchen Nightmares where he visits a sushi restaurant, and the guy who runs the restaurant, his daughter is one of the servers, and the server is the real-life actress who played Keiko O'Brien.
Oh.
So maybe you can call that a Deep Space Nine fact, but yeah, basically Keiko, or not Keiko, sorry, Molly.
Molly.
So yeah, there's Molly. Yeah, so yeah, there's an episode of Kitchen Nightmares where Molly is a waitress. The episode. Okay, so questions. Previous to Picard, which was the last series for a member of the Troi family to appear? A. Deep Space Nine, B. Voyager, C. Enterprise, or D. Discovery? And the bonus question: what concept did, well, I should say, Lwaxana explain to the cairn telepathically? What was she trying to get across? And it wasn't poetry. I'll give you that clue.
It'd be a bit of a guess.
It
Okay.
I wonder could we do a thing like I could show the Moopsie, and the first person to put Moopsie in the chat could get like 5 points or something, just in general.
He is
you want a Moopsie point.
not today because I've only just said it, but just like in future episodes, I just hold it here till someone puts Moopsie in the chat and like, yeah,
Hey.
5 points.
It's a bingo. It's a lower deck reference in bingo.
All right, that's enough.
Anyway,
Not this week. Moves tired.
I didn't have very much trips and stuff for this particular scene, but in general, about this episode, Mr. Hom was actually supposed to appear, but Carol Stroiken was unavailable. So this is actually the only TNG episode in which Lwaxana appears, but Mr. Hom does not. And the only other bit I've got is that Rene Echevarria did an uncredited polish to the episode script. And in an interview later on, he said that he regretted having been forced to tone down Makeris's comical attempts at language. So, yeah, apparently it was like a lot funnier before, and then they wanted him to bring it back a bit, I guess, because it's quite a serious episode. But it would have kind of lightened it a little bit, I think. But I don't know.
He just kind of stutters, doesn't he? And then has to think about his words and then says something.
I don't know if it's just me, but I definitely, Marquise or whatever, I would have definitely climbed that. Even if it was, you don't have to be his wife, but just teach him some more stuff about the
I mean, they're supposed to be learning language, and I mean, it's bad enough even changing from one language to another, even when they're related languages, you know, like English and French or German. But they're learning the concept of spoken language, moving from metaphor to words, and they just kind of speak pretty fluently. I mean, you know, they're not like, you know, you go to like, I don't know, on holidays to Greece, and you get a taxi driver, and his words are very clumsy and not the right words, but you know, when you string them together in a sentence, you understand what he's saying. It's a bit too straightforward. I guess it's just American TV. It's the Stargate effect. It's not good for TV if you have to translate a language every planet you go to. I guess that's all it is.
Do you need anything? I thought it was strange that his English, I guess, when he was speaking, I wonder what language he's speaking from, because you would imagine that the Universal Translator would have cleaned it up a little better.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. He's communicating in images and concepts, so you think his language would be kind of poetic and almost abstract, you know, like, as I said, he's really hitting, almost like, as I said, convoluted poetry, that his language would be everywhere but directing to the point, but it seems like the opposite. His language is directing to the point, but he can't find the words, and when you try and explain a complicated thing like poetry, he doesn't understand it, but if he's used to thinking in images, poetry should be the easiest thing in the world. Yes, it's just not thought out well.
And Ruth says he even knows which muscles to use to make the words.
Yes. Yeah.
And apparently has really good grammar, just not vocabulary.
So
I'm surprised they have the physiology to do it. Anyway.
So quick straw poll then with everyone in live chat and in the studio. Marquez then, is he climbable? Yes or no? Y or N?
Is he clonable or
climbable?
Climbable.
I would climb that.
Would you hit that, Sean? Would you?
For diplomacy reasons.
That's what we want to know.
I'd pay 50p for a spin on the roller coaster, yeah.
Spend 50p. Wow.
I take her around on the waltzers.
Okay, that's full wise.
Yeah. We call them bumpers, you call them dodgems, don't you?
I'm just gonna
look at all of these ambassadors ready to Riker up the con. We all get a Riker award.
I'm just putting that smile back up on the screen there.
Oh, he's got a Deanna smile. It's all the teeth.
Well, it's almost the gum, isn't it? It's almost missing the teeth. Like, but
it's like he's trying to cover his smile somehow, but it's like, what is going on?
There was a resounding why. I thought this might be a. I thought this.
Super put a yes and then took it away again.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve.
Time
Lord says shudder.
Yeah, Seaside Time Lords on my side. I'm definitely not into that at all.
Time Lord, you could not get the Riker Award for ambassadorial relations.
No. No, it's not. It's not happening.
I mean, it's not the first episode to do it. Actually, just on this shot, the Arboretum's supposed to be huge, and they normally just close it in tight angles and make them walk around and make them stare into the distance. And whoever directed this episode shows the whole set several times and gives away the game. It's like revealing a magic trick, and I don't like it. And I've completely forgotten my first point because I got distracted by that. We'll move on.
Stupid didn't understand the question. He got on board and then suddenly retracted his.
That was amazing. Come on, Stu. I thought you was with it.
Yeah. For all those people that answered B, Voyager, I think you're forgetting that Troi was in the last episode of Enterprise, which is why I put C, and that come later than Voyager. Well.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest, Monty.
3 people answered B.
I'm gonna be honest. When I set the question, I forgot she was in Enterprise, but you are correct. She was in These Are the Voyages. Yeah.
The last episode of Enterprise, Troy's in it. So
yeah, completely forgot that. Well done. Oh, I'll tell you a quick convention story about Deanna, or Marina rather. She had to do that episode, and they gave her a wig, and it was like a cheap wig. It wasn't like the $5,000 wig she had from the show because they couldn't find it in the prop store, and she gave out stink about having this really cheap wig. And anyway, about a month later, she's cleaning out her closet and she found it. Turns out she stole it and brought it home, forgot all about it. Sat there for 10 years. Yeah. So she was given out to them for losing the wig, but she had in fact actually just stuffed it in her purse and walked it out of it.
Yes, everyone's trying to forget that episode. I see what they're trying to do there.
She's a North Londoner. She can't help herself. It's just her nature.
I don't know if anybody's seen on Prime, there's a Star Trek documentary series called The Center Seat, narrated by Dr. Crusher, which each episode breaks down a Star Trek series and gives some background into the production of it and whatnot. And
oh Jesus, I didn't know that. Larry Nemechek's on that.
In the last episode, they talk about the end, or the second to last episode, they talk about Enterprise in the last episode, and what's he called, the producer, Brandon Braga.
Yeah.
What he was trying to do with that episode is he didn't see that episode as a finale of Enterprise. He saw it as a finale of the Rick Berman era of Star Trek. The finale of TNG, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise. He knew that because the takeover of CBS and Paramount, that there weren't going to be any more Star Treks for some time. And so they wanted to sort of tie it up, like back to the beginning with TNG again. So that was the thought process behind it. But it come across as a sort of slap in the face to Enterprise. It fell flat on its face.
Whatever you thought it was.
It's easy to say this with hindsight, but they could have done some sort of time travel episode with Daniels, remember the 29th Century guy, where they where they got Archer and they showed him a bit of Deep Space Nine, they had him meeting Cisco or going with the Prophets or the Prophet, they could have went through the whole era or had him inserted into footage. They could have tied it all together, but instead they just tried to make it an extra TNG episode, and it came off cheesy enough. We do with the Pegasus coming up in about 6 or 7 episodes, and we'll discuss that in more detail then, I'm sure, which is the episode that's based on. It just was a slap in the face to the fans of Enterprise because they were like, yeah, your show is just. Although I will say, and they killed off Trip for no reason, but we do know for canonical reasons that story isn't canonically correct, and there's a very basic reason. In Picard, when you see the NXL-1, it has the secondary hull, like they've added on the engineering section underneath it. And but in that episode, you see it at the end, at the joining of the Federation, and it doesn't have it, and it's being retired. So the two don't match up. So basically, Picard has retconned it to say it's just a holodeck simulation, and it's not 100% real.
They got it wrong.
They got it wrong, alive. And it has been retconned that it's a holodeck what if, and it's been altered slightly.
Yeah, cool. So we literally can forget that episode. Brilliant.
They should have ended that. They should have ended Enterprise with the UFP coming together for the first time. That would have been icing on the cake.
I did get the Shuttlebot show occasionally has lives, and I did actually get to send in the super chat and have the guy who played Trick, Malcolm, what's his name, and I basically went, it was just a holodeck simulation, and Picard had the secondary hull, therefore it's not real. And I got them to read it out live on a show, so they're like, yeah, we know, it's fine.
But I think everybody else got heaven, did they? Heaven. Yes. So I can spin the wheel.
Tired. I've never met any of them, but I did pass Colomini in the street once. Oh, it's a... Oh, I thought
The Monty Band got one for a change.
We're overdue for a walk. We're overdue.
Overdue for a Mr. Wookie.
Right. is currently in the lead, being the only person that's actually got both questions right so far.
We're on to Act 2. So, beginning Act 2, Lwaxana is in a coma in sickbay, and the doc doesn't know why. She isn't responding to cortical stimulation, and all the neural activity is shutting down, except that the neural activity in the paracortex, which is off the scale. As she was communicating telepathically with Marquez just before she collapsed, they decide to start with questioning him. Marquez is sorry that she is unwell and tells Troi and Picard that it's because of the bad thoughts that's taking place in her dark place. Troi doesn't understand, so Marquez decides to try and explain it telepathically. He's got a way of doing telepathically where he looks normal and then he goes, and then he looks normal again. That's his. He's got a telepathic face. His telepathic communication's a bit much initially for Troi to handle, and it overwhelms her, but eventually he gets something through.
Yeah, she goes full Home Alone face.
Yeah, she does.
And as for his face, well, he looks like he's enjoying himself.
He does. Yes. Back in sickbay, Troi tells them that Macquie was showing her that there is something in her mum's metaconscious mind, possibly some kind of previous trauma. Just in case Marquez is wrong, Crusher is going to run a subneural scan with the hope of finding something that she can actually treat with medicine. Deanna wants to stay with her mum in sickbay and try contacting her telepathically, and the doc agrees. I know she just agreed, and we have to because of the plot, but considering that this could have been caused from, like, telepathy and things, and she's died, you would have thought that the doc might have taken that under consideration a bit, rather than just go, yeah, all right, give it a go. But I don't know. She just goes, yeah, okay, try the telepathy thing.
I thought the same thing.
So later in sickbay, Deanna tries to contact Lwaxana, who reaches out and asks Deanna for her help. It's quite a creepy scene because sickbay's all like dark and broody. And she's like, help me. Then later in sickbay, it's even darker. Deanna's fallen asleep at her mother's side, and Marquez enters into the dark room and stands and stares ominously at Lwaxana. Deanna awakens, thinking something's wrong, and raises the lights and is shocked to find Marquez just standing there. And there he is, standing there with his telepathic face.
Do you remember that movie when he's got that Mars Attacks look? If they had...
It's got that Mars Attacks look going on. It's just green.
Sorry for that noise, but it's just...
Chief Red Yo.
Tired's getting in on the bingo.
Oh yes, he's there. He's right there.
It's my old man bingo player.
Yes, I've got the dial-up modem look going on tonight from. It's not my internet.
The TrekCore side is.
TrekCore
side is run on an old Pentium 4 plugged in somewhere.
I think it is. Yeah. If there's two people looking at it at once, that's it. It fails. Yeah. So there we go. Guess what? Guess what, everyone? Guess what? Come here. I'll tell you something. It's question time.
Well, sorry. Mazza was just asking the question. Did I mention D Space Nine? Or, of course I did. I had a question on D Space Nine. I asked how many D Space Nine.
Yeah, no, I was saying you were saying about Odo as well and having the pictures on his thingy.
Yeah. Where's this uniform from? Okay.
The beards just popped by to say hello.
Majra, Mr. T.
Good. Hello and goodbye all at once. Yeah. He just popped up to say hello, and now he's gone back down below.
Back down below.
Oh, is this Smile of Rainbows theme tune?
Oh, the lovely wrench.
Yep, the wrench is in the house. So, if anybody's thinking of starting anything, we've got our wrench here now. So.
Yeah. And you have your guard dog. And your son trained in Muay Thai.
That's true. He is true.
Okay, so question 2. What part of Lwaxana's brain was the only part active? A. Paracortex. B. Telepathic lobe. C. Metaconscious. D. The part of the brain which is focused on 25 centimeter data dong. And bonus question is, what is the name for the type of beds commonly found in sickbay?
It's difficult because they mentioned A, B, and C.
They did, yes. Yeah. Yes. This is going to split the room, I'm going to be honest. But, sometimes you have to do that.
What have we got on Goose and Trivs?
Sorry, just before you go into that. I was just going to say, obviously Kirsten Dunst is in this, but does anyone remember what film around the same time that Tobey Maguire was in? Maybe slightly before it.
Sorry, what was the question? Sorry, I didn't quite hear it, Sean.
Oh, I got Tobey Maguire and Elijah Wood mixed up. Doesn't matter. Sorry, please move on.
It's easily done. They're like the same person.
Yeah. Well, apparently, if someone stops one of them, they sign and says, "Hey, Elijah," to Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire signs Elijah, and Elijah signs it to Tobey because it's easier than explaining. It's happened to the two of them, and I just did it there. Sorry, Trivs, please.
Oh, as it happens, I don't have any for this act.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's like the comedian.
Your filling was good.
It's like the comedian that used to say, "It's a puppet." What was he called?
No idea.
Oh, I can't remember his name.
What, Torval and Dean?
No, the comedian used to say it's a puppet all the time.
Don't know.
Oh,
I know. I've heard the phrase, but
Brian Connolly.
Hold up.
Brian.
Let's confuse Tabby. Nice to see you. I expected one of you to say. Nice.
Actually, he's got kind of the chin going on, isn't he? Is that he's got a bit of a young Bruce Forsyth look, to be honest.
Oh, that's not why I did that. I just did it to confuse Tabby. Never mind.
I'm stuck at Data Dong, so.
Yeah, there's a guy called Bruce Forsyth, and he's kind of like Dick Clark. He kind of tap dances and presents things. Well, he's dead now. Anyway, that was his catchphrase.
I know Sean's accent makes it sound like foresight, but it's Forsyth.
Forsyth. Yes.
Forsyth, yes.
Very not foreskin.
That's what I heard,
not Bruce
Lord.
Foreskin. No. No.
Well, anything with a th is hard in an Irish accent, which is why Forsyth becomes out as foresight, and 3 becomes out as 3.
I know I take the mix, Sean, and I shouldn't, but
It's
my
the
favourite one
th
was
sound.
Birthright when we were watching Birthright.
Birthright.
Not birthright.
We're ones to
okay.
talk about accents,
Cool.
really.
I know. Hot kettle.
Yeah.
Quill Wheaton. Cool Whip.
I love that.
Did you and Whoopi Goldberg hook up all the time?
I do that with my kids because they're learning Norwegian, and a lot of words that with a V sound start with HV, and the girls are there. She's trying to pronounce it, so she's learning how to read now. She's like, instead of it saying va, she's like va, va. So I'm like, it's like cool whip. I'm doing these dumb jokes, and my daughter's looking at me like, "What the hell are you? Are you not helping?" And I'm like,
my sister lives in Northern Ireland, and she's got 3 kids. Three kids. Fuck it. And anyway, it's great. Now, the great thing is watching them trying to use an Alexa, because a Northern Irish accent. I mean, if you don't know what it sounds like, it's pretty similar to Scottish. It's just incomprehensible. So it's just the case that they're talking to an Alexa, and the Alexa isn't picking them up. And I say it, and it works for me, but it doesn't work for them.
I would have gone with
fun
3
not to mess
kids
up.
because then you can think about a load of baby Groots running around.
3 kids. I actually have to put my tongue. I have to put my tongue out of my mouth, like there. 3. It's awkward.
oh,
I taught 3. Well, I say I taught. That's rather grandiose, but I helped 3 Ukrainians learn English, and they're the same with the THs. I had them saying, like a thumb or a thistle pricked my thumb, and just like all these things.
it's also Jamaicans do it as well. So
Yeah.
every time I hear Sean do it, I think instantly of Jamaicans, but.
Well, you go to Dublin. Dublin's the worst for it. They say they're, that, and them. It's everything starts with a D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3
Brian
fitting,
Connolly.
that's it.
Thank you, Stuplum. Brian Connolly. That's the guy.
Well, no.
People always get Brian Connolly and the guy that hosts The Chase. I can't remember what that. Bradley Walsh.
Yeah.
People get Brian Connolly and Bradley Walsh mixed up. Sorry, just going back to that previous. That was the thing. That was the point I was trying to make. It's a very English thing, but there you go. Anyway.
Oh, my grandmother was a Connolly, so you never know. It's Connolly, not Connolly. Okay.
Conley.
All right, never mind.
Quiz questions, quiz answers.
Quiz answers. Yes,
Yeah,
we're playing a game, aren't we?
C-A.
Yeah, I know I'm gonna divide the room here. Well, I'm sorry, I even have to look it up because I've forgotten already. Yeah, it was the paracortex A, and it was biobed.
Did everybody get biobed?
I did not. So on the list you want Time Lord, Tavi, Ruth, Monty, Stuplum.
Oh, it's just yourself then.
I mean, as soon as somebody said that, I was like, oh yeah, but I couldn't think of it at the time, so I didn't put it.
Yeah, I hate it when that happens. When you happen to you don't know, and then you look at chat and you're like, oh bloody hell.
I don't want to cheat.
And it's gonna be.
Come on, wiki.
It's Ruth.
Sean.
Oh no, that's not Sharp Sean.
Nice.
I'm a cheer, not a Sharp Sean.
Madam Ruth.
Didn't you get it the other time?
Yeah. She is cleaning up this evening. Luckily, we've got lots of TNG points to give away, so it's still early days yet. Right, Act 3. In the observation lounge, Maquaz tells them how... Macquee tells them how he was trying to help. He was just in sick bay trying to help.
being all creepy in the dark.
Yeah, he can't explain what he saw in words, so they agreed to allow him to tell Deanna telepathically, and we get another shot of his, telepathy face.
Yeah, like, look at that. I would climb that face. Can you imagine getting into that and he gives you that face? Like, girl.
I would say you're on your own, but according to live chat, you're not on your own. So, you're in good company there. Or do the telepathy face. Right, everybody, where's the telepathy face gone? Ready? Everyone's got to do their best telepathy face. Ready? 3, 2, 1. There we go.
You would think that this meeting would have gone differently. Be like, hello, I know that you thought you were doing good walking into a dark room, but we've had some incidences with Deanna Troi specifically, and we just wanted to make sure this wasn't another one of those instances, okay? Because there's been a lot of, some red tape with that telepathy stuff, and we're not up for that again. So, red flag, sir. Not in this federation.
So Deanna reports that Marquez believes her mum, Psyche, has collapsed in on itself, and he was trying to communicate with her to bring her out. He could see images that he didn't understand, but is willing to help bridge the gap to allow Deanna to get into Lwaxana's mind. It's not without risk, though. But Picard allows them to try. So, in sickbay, with the doc monitoring their progress, Marquez establishes a connection, warning Deanna that her mum is frightened, so may resist her. We enter Troi Sr.'s mind, and like most people in this program, it involves an Enterprise corridor through a fisheye lens, which is what everyone seems to dream about on this ship. And yes, I was going to say about just having this same scenario in the last episode, but we did mention that earlier on. She hears a splash. She hears her mum calling out. She hears a growling wolf. And then she finds Picard. And he comes to her, ordering her to stop, telling her that Dr. Crusher is concerned about her paracortial readings as they're becoming erratic. But she correctly guesses that this isn't Picard coming in from real life, but it's her mother trying to put her off the trail. So she continues. She finds a wolf sitting there in the corridor, and then gets chased by the wolf down the corridor and flees into some quarters.
She's got fleas in her quarters.
Yeah, she flees. She flees to some quarters and finds her dad, who tells her she's become a beautiful woman. Fun fact. Go on.
No, go on.
It's an actual wolf.
Oh, really? Not
usually
a dog.
with these things, they use like a dog.
Yeah, a wolf-dog hybrid, yeah.
This is an actual wolf. It was a domesticated wolf.
I'm not seeing a picture. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, when I saw that thing, because you can tell with the length of their snout.
Ooh.
They come on. When I saw it, I'm like, wait, is that an actual wolf? But yeah.
And I believe they did like composite shots. So they set up the still camera. They had like her run down a corridor, and then they had the wolf run down the corridor, and they just overlaid the shots. So they didn't have the actors actually in with the wolf at the same time.
Oh, that's how they did it. Nice. It's seamless. The only thing I'd say is, and it's fixed modern days, But when a dog is acting, you can tell by their tail, kind of, their body language, and the tail is up. They're happy because their owner is basically calling them, like, oh, they're coming. So the tail is excited and happy. It's not down low or down flat, and the shoulders up like it's hunting. It's coming to its owner. So only a small thing if you're around dogs you recognize, but I definitely did notice it.
Yeah.
Although there's no way to fix that. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say Time Lord's not far off, where he's saying Marina's like, oh shit, it's a real wolf. That's not far off, because they did use the split screens, as you say, because Peter Lauritsen commented nobody wanted to be there with the wolf, other than Dan Curry for some reason. He was quite into it. And with later with Kirsten Dunst, when she was petting, she was actually petting a stand rather than the wolf, and then again it was added in later. So nobody wanted to go near it.
No.
Do you know? I love dogs so much.
Hi, Andy, Steve.
Hi, Andy.
I hope you're well, sir. There will be a Monty Zone coming soon. So yes, do not worry, sir.
Sorry.
Anyway,
I thought it was really interesting. I didn't know it was a split screen, so I was sitting there watching this episode, going, "Wait, that's a real wolf." Wow, they actually risked her turning her back to a wolf and running, because that's something you absolutely don't do, even if the wolf is trained. I was like, you can't do, that's dangerous. And I'm like, that's a very well-trained wolf, and he never broke into a full sprint after her?
Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, I mean, obviously if it's split screen, I'm like, oh, okay.
I think it's what's called a floating wipe. So as long as the camera remains static and the lighting remains the same, because if the lighting remains the same and the camera stays in the same spot, you can do it. Like, you couldn't do it outdoors because the light will change, and even if you do it 5 minutes later, it looks off to the human brain. But in an indoor setting like this, you absolutely can do that. It's just it's called a floating wipe, where basically they're sliding. There's like a split screen and it's sliding. They call it the wipe. It's sliding across the screen. They're digitally, well, maybe not digitally, optically moving it frame by frame. It's an awkward thing to do back then. Now you could do it in 20 minutes, but back then, it was like cost $1,000.
You can see when Kirsten Dunst is running down the corridor with the wolf later. The very first frame she comes into shot at the beginning, her front leg that's walking forward is semi-transparent. It's only for one frame. I've got a picture of it because you can't see it, but so you can just see that sort of wipe coming across. Just clipped her just ever so slightly. But.
Apparently I'm just reading up that the dog in the episode was called Teddy. And he was in the 1990 Academy Award-winning film Dances with Wolves. So he's an Oscar-winning dog.
Oh, really?
I think that's the dog later.
I was going to say, on IMDb, the wolf is apparently called Buck.
Yes, the wolf was called Buck. There's a dog later on in a later scene, Sean, called Teddy.
Right.
Sorry, there's two, Teddy and Buck, two timber wolves,
We haven't seen Teddy yet. You'll see Teddy later.
That's he looks completely different.
Yeah, he's actually a dog. Yeah. Anyway, we'll carry on. Sorry, we kind of went down a rabbit hole there. We'll drag ourselves back out of the wolf hole.
Not like us.
Anyway, she gets chased. She gets to quarters. Oh yes, Dad says she's become a beautiful woman. And here's her dad looking fly in the monster maroon. He tells her that this is their lake house where they spent their summers. Diana remembers feeling safe when her dad sang in the valley, which he duly does sing. Of course, this is kind of a representation of the lake house because it looks very much like a crew's quarters to me, not the lake house.
Yeah, and also the shadow on his face appears to be coming from off camera, not outside the window where it should be coming from.
Yeah,
and I do like that they followed through in the thing where there was a period between the TOS movies and now where the only difference in the uniform was they removed the undershirt, you know, that they kept that going. I know it was cheesy, but at least they stayed with it consistently.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm sure I've seen this thing in Star Wars.
Oh, and just that little gold
In
ball.
Star Wars Rebels.
That little gold. Oh, the droid. I know the one you're looking for. But I was just going to say that little gold ball in the back. You can see the stage lights. You can see the way the scene is lit.
Yes, I love the Monster Maroon uniform. Yeah.
Yeah, Monty has the kind of Strange New Worlds version of it.
I've got the Strange New Worlds one. Time Lord. I'm very happy with it. It's really nice.
Yeah, you should break it out more often. It's nice with the deltas.
Yeah. Okay.
And if we ever get,
I thought it was an interesting choice having the Down in the Valley song, because it's a bit of a depressing song for a children's lullaby, really. But there you go.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of time songs just get misinterpreted. Like Bruce Springsteen did a song called "Born in the USA," which is all about how terrible America is, and people think it's this, you know, really patriotic song, and all these candidates for the presidency come out to it because they've not listened to the lyrics. You know, there's lots of little things like that where people just plain don't listen to it.
What's that other big one that I think it was it Sting or someone else? He was like, "I'll be watching you." That one.
Oh, that's about him being a stalker.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, because I think Down in the Valley is kind of a thing about depression, because then it goes on to say about the love of his life's left him, and if the love of his life wants to get in contact with him again, she's got to have to write to the prison, because that's where he is now, because I think he got drunk and like did something rash. It's like, it's a really depressing folk song. It's like, wow, okay.
Yeah, so, you think they go with Tie a Yellow Ribbon or something, but I guess, but I guess that the fact is it was public domain, so, you know, free is free.
Yes, that's true. Okay, so yes, this upsets Deanna, hearing him sing that song again. But she's relieved. She realises that this version of her dad is again brought forward by her mum to put her off, and it's not actually her dad, so she has to leave him behind. And she then finds Hedrill in the corridors, just standing there. But then Lwaxana marches down the corridor and shouts at her to get out of here. And I have to say, Michelle Barrett there, does a really good job of being scary. The way she just marches down the corridor past that woman and yells at her to get out. It's pretty scary.
Get your ears boxed.
Yeah. Anyway, that frightens Troi, and she snaps out of the connection with her mum back to sickbay again. Which I'd show you if Trek Core was working, which it doesn't want to do. Maybe it'll come up later. Oh, here you go. There it is. Trek Core coming in from 1995.
I'm wondering, is there a way you could like have a separate browser that you just use for Trek Core and have the pages like cached or preloaded?
I could have done it. I could have preloaded them all and then remembered to flick to each one, but no, it's fun this way. Anyway, Sean, guess what?
It's question time.
It's question time.
Well, Shane, I'm going to guess now. Okay, so what is the name of the lake that Deanna's father mentions? Is it A, Lake of Luthor, B, Lake Euron, C, Lake Armstrong, or D, Lake Elnar? And the bonus question is, what is the Vulcan name for the merging of thoughts similar to what is seen in this act?
Sorry, I'm going to have to answer as the Vault because my phone's died. So I do apologise.
Yeah, same. Yeah, well.
Right. Okay. So, a few bits on this act. Where are we? Yeah, so we mentioned earlier the episode uses the steady cam when she goes into Lwaxana's mind. And actually, Data brings up the events of the last episode a little bit later in the episode. The wolf's growl, apparently, was achieved by giving it a lick of a meaty bone and then filming its reaction when its trainer moved as if to take the meaty bone away.
Oh, wow. They actually made that wolf growl.
Yeah,
and that is actually that noise that we hear.
Apparently so.
I would have thought they'd have a wolf growl in the archives. I mean, even back then, they had all sorts of Foley artists and things. Oh, strange. Okay.
That will happen with most dogs, though. To be fair, if you give them food and then take that food away, they will not be. My little cocker spaniel, he wouldn't be handling that shit at all.
Yeah, but if you give him a sock or a length of rope and you start playing with them and pulling on it, I mean, you'll get a growl out of them.
Oh no, that's completely different to food. You take their food away.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
That's different growl.
Oh, you never put a hand between a dog and their food. That's like the first thing you learn.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Brave trainer.
Yeah.
This is the first and only appearance of Ian Andrew Troi, whose name was previously established in the episode The Child. And the actor, Amit Byram, he's actually got a lot more kind of voice and singing related credits than he does acting credits. Like you look him up on IMDb and it's just like score vocalist, singer, male vocalist, vocal contractor, etc. He's got 35 music references and then only 19 actor references. So the fact that they brought him on and then he immediately sang is kind of par for the course.
Well, it sounds like they hired him to sing and then they just, because it's easy to get a singer who can act in a small scene, but it's maybe not harder to get an actor who can sing, kind of thing.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and being that everybody has has answered the question, Lake Elnar was named after a friend of writer Hilary J. Bader, and I'm wondering is it Elnar, like Eleanor, Elnar, or do you think it was literally Elnar? But yeah, Elnar isn't that normal a name, right? But normal, bad word to use, but yeah. Anyway,
it could be an Arabic name, as in from Nar, like Siddiq El Fadil. It could be one of those.
True, yeah.
As in his father could be called Nar, so it could
Malamute.
That's a Malamute.
Yeah.
It's like a husky. It's very cute, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a fluff ball.
Almost Japanese looking dog, yeah. Cutie.
Yeah, it looks a bit like a Nikita.
That's the one.
Yeah. Wow. What a gorgeous looking dog. Very cool. See you later, Tired, if you come back. But he's given us his score for the episode, so we can count him in that. Enjoy your dinner. Enjoy your dinner. Okay, so on to the quiz. Who got what right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing everyone got everything right.
Okay, but sorry, Mazza, you answer that and I'll talk you through the first question.
What? Oh, who's right? Everybody got
for the wheel.
My mail, D, my mail. I think everybody for the wheel.
Okay, so the Lake of Luxor, can anyone tell me where that is?
No.
It's on Konos. Lake Huron, I'll give you a clue.
Vulcan?
It's
they
on
managed
Vulcan.
to have water out there?
Apparently it has a lake, yeah, there's one of them at least. But I mean, the idea of a planet having the one environment type is kind of crazy when you think about the way Earth is. We go from the Sahara Desert to frozen tundras.
Plus, I don't think anything would live if it didn't have any water on the...
Yeah, there has to be plants to create oxygen. So, yeah, there are deserts, but, there's arable land too. There has to be, because people need food to eat. Lake Armstrong. Does anyone know Lake Armstrong is?
On the moon.
Yeah, absolutely correct. And as I said, Lake Eleanor is the
That
right
was
answer.
mentioned in TNG, I think, wasn't it? Was it TNG?
It was mentioned in First Contact when when they opened the doors to look at the moon. He's like,
yes.
Whatever, something city, something
You'd
other
see
city.
Lake Armstrong
Riker
from
says
here.
it.
Yeah, Riker says it.
That's exactly
Yes.
correct.
Okay, let's spin the wheel. Do-dip, dip, 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 do-dip. Oh, I thought it was going to be Ruth again,
what?
but it's Duplum!
Stew.
Stew, 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 stew.
And everybody pretty much got that one right, didn't they?
They did indeed. Right, Act 4.
Wait, was everybody on the wheel
Everyone was on the wheel.
the same amount of times?
Huh?
Yeah. Okay. For some reason, with the different colors, it looked like all the copying wasn't copied.
I think it's right. Yeah, it's right. Yeah. Right, Act 4. Act 4, nearly there, not far. In the observation lounge, Troi asks Hedra if she knows why she would be seeing her in Mother's thoughts, and Hedra tells her that, well, she makes Lwaxana feel sad. She doesn't know why she makes Lwaxana feel sad, but she does. And her dad doesn't know why either. Beverly also has no answers from her scans and whatnot. She's not detected any physical cause, so she thinks that Marquis, yeah, go with that, is right. It's possibly right. It could be down related to some post-traumatic event. Data wonders if they are being too literal. My God, Data, you're in this episode. Where have you been, my friend?
No.
Data wonders if
Data
they're
had
being,
a week off.
I know, being too literal in their interpretation. Sometimes in dreams, people can represent other things, like a child can represent vulnerability.
We know about them dreams. They can also represent some other things too.
It was more of a D Space Nine thing than it was a TNG thing. But they did in the later seasons of TNG. They did start doing it where they'd like rotate people out, so they'd be in an episode for one scene and have a single line, and they just leave them out of the rest of it. You know, every 6, 7, 8 episodes, they just try and make just to rest actors and give them a chance. Because in the early seasons of D Space Nine, there was 2 or 3 or 4 occasions where people actually died because they'd worked like 18-hour shifts and they drove home and they just like slammed into a tree, exhausted from work. 70-hour weeks, and they had to like completely change the way they work people because like you can't work people this hard. They're
It's crazy.
dying.
Yeah,
And you start to see that at the end of TNG season 7, because working people for 6 days a week, 16 hours a day, they just couldn't do it regardless what the money was.
yeah.
And Brent got a week off to catch up on his sleep or his tan or whatever it is he wanted to do.
Well,
Or using his 25 centimeter dong, whatever.
He certainly didn't top up his tan by the looks of him. But he needs to straighten up his comm badge there. It's looking a bit off-center and a little bit wonky.
But back in the original series,
yourself
Leonard
up, sir.
Nimoy used to finish work on a Friday and fly out and do like a meet and greet somewhere and fly back for extra money because he didn't know how long the series was going to last and he was getting paid. So, he used to work like 4, 5, 6 months in a row, like every weekend, flying out, getting 4 hours sleep on a couch, and starting the next episode. Crazy.
Troy's going to go get Lwaxana's diary and journals from Mr. Hom to see if there's anything in that might help. So later in her quarters, Deanna's going through some of the personal effects that Lwaxana brought aboard from home, including a picture of her father. And Picard then visits to tell her that her mother's condition is worsening, Yeah. I did have a look as he came in. I thought, I wonder if someone's going to walk by in the background, because we mentioned that the other day, They point out that someone's always walking by, but no, nobody walked by this time. I was very disappointed.
Boo earns.
Yeah. So, yes, her mother's condition's worsening. She tells him that she's looked through the last 5 years of the journal and nothing. She's looked through her belongings and found nothing. Aside from the ever-present thorn in Lwaxana's side of Deanna not yet being married, her life looks pretty peachy. So they talk about the loss of her father, who Picard thinks had a kind face. And Picard suggests that if she's reviewed the last 5 years of the journal, maybe they need to go back further. So they do. And they take a look back from when it began, just after her mum's marriage, and they find a 7-year gap.
Can you just go back one frame there? Just a second. That blue dish is in the same place in her dreams as it is in this shot. That's lazy set dressing. Sorry, please continue.
Well, it might be just her dream. Put it there.
Well, like they generally distinguish whose quarters it is by changing the colours in those arches, but yeah, they really should just change that out a bit.
So, yes, they take a look at they find a gap. The files were deleted. It wasn't that she didn't stop the journal. Lwaxana deleted 7 years of her journal some 30 years ago. Deanna decides to go back into her mother's mind and find out what it was. And that's the end of Act 4. So we've got question time.
Yeah. It's amazing how these episodes go. It's quite often Act 2 is quite long, and then, every other act is kind of catching up. Anyhow, yeah. Lwaxana is the daughter of what house? A first, B third, C fifth, or D seventh? And the bonus question, who does Deanna contact in Beta Set to get her mother's logs? No points for spelling, just the name is fine.
So, yes, anything from the continuity, from the production side, from the...
I think so.
Tribs and goofs?
Yeah, a couple. So, yeah, not much, but... So obviously Data made reference to the previous episode Phantasms. When Picard is reviewing Lwaxana's journal, he's kind of scrolling through, and then he goes, oh, there's a 7-year gap, and then you see him scrolling down, and then you see all these deleted entries, and then as he scrolls past it for a while, he gets to the end, and it's like the script was preempting what he'd seen, probably about 20 seconds before he actually saw it. And he also said that her entries were deleted almost 30 years ago, which I guess would probably make sense with Troi's age. However, he did say they said it was stardate 30620.1, which when you convert the stardate actually means it was about 17 years ago. I think that's about all I've got. Did you notice something else, did you, Montyban? Was there anything specific?
No, nothing particular.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Coolios.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 answers, which I think is everybody without Time Lord.
Why have we got a Chief Star Wars?
Because
the background.
It was in a, yeah.
I see. He's on Coruscant.
Yeah.
That was quick.
Oh, well, no, he wasn't. You had R2-D2 behind you earlier.
I had the X-Wing cockpit earlier, yeah. But it is Coruscant, but I mean, well, it's not really Star Trek style, but I just love this background. It's fantastic. Only problem is every time I change costume or change the background, I should, in theory, change the lighting and the color correction and everything else, but that's just far too much effort. I'm not spending 5 minutes fixing it every time.
I've got at least 3 lines tonight. Doing well on the bingo.
Wow. Crazy.
I think. If I fill it out
Okay,
right.
so answers to the questions, Sean. I think we've got answers in.
Everybody says C and Mr. Hom.
Yeah, they would be correct.
Hey.
Woo. Well done, everyone.
My C was a bit of a guess, actually, because she does ramble a lot with her title, and I was like, is it the 5th house? Or the 1st house? 5th house?
I had to say it I had to say it a couple of times in my head. To, you know, that just sounded like the right one.
There is an account on Twitter I follow, and she calls herself Daughter of the Thirst House. And obviously that confused my brain because it sounds like Third House, but it is a riff on it. But yeah, I picked those mainly because they are prime numbers.
Time Lord's out of the equation. So we've only got 5 in Wookiee. So let's go. Do-do, doop, doop, do-do, doop, do-do. Wow, I think for the first time this evening, it's Mazza Mom!
Hey!
Give yourself some points, Maz.
Give myself an extra tenner.
Yeah. And we're on to the final act. Fun fact, well, it's not really a fun fact, but although we're on schedule as normal, this is by far the smallest, like, notes I've taken in a long time.
Yeah.
Like, it's about 1,000 words less than normal.
Gosh.
Wow.
So she goes back in to her mum's mind and finds Hedril and the wolf that was chasing her earlier. This is the shot that Mazza Bob was talking about earlier. That's a composite where she's actually petting like a dummy dog.
A stand.
A stand. And so her hand's in the right place. But yeah, the dog. They wouldn't put a little 11-year-old girl next to a wolf. That wasn't going to happen.
I'm not going to risk that.
No.
It was quite well done, though.
It was.
I mean, you watch so much stuff these days, modern things, and you're just like, that's superimposed, that's superimposed. It's just so obvious. But it wasn't so obvious here, I thought.
No, I thought it was really well done. In fact, it was only like reading up about the various things about this episode that I found out about it. I'd never noticed it previously.
No.
You know? I just kind of assumed that it was just a wolf-looking dog. You know? Do you know what I mean? That's what I usually do. You know, like use like the type of dogs that Time Lord's got, you know, or something, you know, just a wolf-like looking thing. Like Diefenbaker? Is it Diefenbaker from Due South? Yeah. Because he was supposed to have a wolf, wasn't he? But it wasn't a wolf. It was a dog that looked like, you know, it was a dog.
Yeah.
Diefen. I used to love Due South. Do you remember Due South?
Yeah. It was good.
Yeah.
It might be worth a rewatch. I wonder if
I'm about to say that I just put that in my head. I was like, that I could rewatch that.
Yeah.
I like the fact his boss, the head of the police precinct, was called Margaret Thatcher. I don't know why. There you go. Due South. So, what was I saying? Oh yes, she sees Hedril and the wolf and chases after them. But as she rounds the corner, she finds the corridor goes out into space. So she decides to jump for it. The blue screen wasn't so good on the her jumping into space there.
Yeah,
no.
That is absolutely not definitely a stunt double with some sort of mad afro going on.
It's actually not, but anyway.
That's Troi.
That
she do her own stunt.
Really? The hair? Really? Okay.
She did the stunt herself, yeah.
It does have a bit of a blue glow around it because you can see it's a blue screen.
No, it's a bad blue screen. You know, the color, or what do they call it, chroma key. But the hair looks far too big.
It's actually, I think, done as like almost like one shot in it. She runs down the corner.
Yeah, she just sort of, you see her walk right down and then she jumps off at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. So after jumping off into space, she actually lands in the Arboretum, and the Arboretum now is doubling as Lake Elnar, as was like one of the questions earlier. Her mother tells her to go away, leave her alone. Though she tells Deanna she would never let anything happen to her, it alludes to the fact that she let something happen to someone else. And then we see a scene where a little girl called Kestra wants to play in the water with her little dog. Her insistence of wanting to go play in the lake makes baby Deanna cry. So the Troys are busy settling the baby down.
Is that the other dog?
That's the other dog. I forgot
The
what's
other
it
name,
called.
Teddy.
Yes, that's Teddy. Bless him. He's a cutie pie, isn't he?
He is.
He's actually a cutie pie.
I'm not even sure what breed it is.
I don't know. There's a production shot of it sat on... because this isn't actual... I should clarify that although she's calling this girl Kestra, this isn't actually Kestra. This is... Kestra's still represented here by Hedrill.
Yeah.
Without the alien head bulges. It's a bit confusing. A human-looking Hedrill here is Kestra. Yeah. But yes, there's some production shots of backstage of what's her name, the actress again? I've forgotten.
Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst sitting in the studio with this dog on her lap because she apparently really liked the dog. So there we go. So the Troys are busy settling baby Deanna down. Deanna encourages her mum to see what happens next because she doesn't want to look. She doesn't want to know. She just wants to avoid it. But Deanna makes her confront the situation. And the dog gets away from Kestra, and Kestra goes after it, and they didn't know that they noticed they'd lost her. I'm assuming she drowned in the lake, but in the episode I don't think they actually mention it.
No.
I tried to I went back and watched this scene like 4 times trying to figure out what actually happened to Kestra, but they don't mention it. So I'm assuming she drowned. But it kind of like in dialogue, it makes it sound like they lost her, like physically lost her. Like she could be out there somewhere in this lake.
My
living
mind
with the wolves right now.
Went to Pet Cemetery, and secondly, I was going, "What the hell is going on with this lake? That was so dangerous that your child couldn't go anywhere near it." I was like, "I don't think you should have had a picnic there." Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like,
they just got this. The dog ran off, and then the child followed the dog into the water, and they weren't paying attention. That's the way they said it.
Yeah. How we have to think, accept it.
So Deanna tells her that she saw a girl that was sweet and happy, and so she should be honoured by remembering her like that and remembering her life. Plus, Deanna wants to know about her sister so she can celebrate her life too. She tells her to talk to her about it. And then the actual Kestra, the little girl, appears, and Lwaxana apologizes for letting her die, and Kestra says it's time for her to go, and she says her goodbyes, and she disappears.
See, this did confuse the hell out of me because in that scene before, you pointed out it was Kirsten Dunst still, but I hadn't realised that. So I was watching it thinking, oh, she does look a lot like her. No wonder she made Lwaxana think of her.
Yes.
And then this one appears, and I'm like, who the hell is that?
No, it was a bit confusing. I found it confusing.
Yeah, it was a bit miscast. They should have. Kirsten Dunst is obviously a rising star, but like that girl's a brunette and Kirsten Dunst's a blonde. At the very least, put a blonde wig in her. So, and that just solves the problem.
It was just that she was a child of that age, and you just see
it just confused me.
She just saw a beautiful little girl, and probably thought I had a beautiful little girl once.
Yeah.
Just shows how things can affect you in different ways. Like when I watched this with Vicky the other day, it was just, another episode, just chatting about it, making jokes and things, and it's all good. This afternoon, I watch it again, writing my notes, and I got to this point where she says goodbye to her daughter. I'm bawling my eyes out like a little girl. Oh my god, so sad.
Well, I'll tell you a story. It'll take about 40 seconds, I hope. My father was in an apprenticeship with the army, and one of his younger brothers drowned, fell off the docks in Waterford, and he drowned. And someone was sent out to catch him. He was surveying land, and shouted up on him a hill and say, "Hey, come down! Your brother's dead." Right? Really blunt and to the point. Bear in mind,
oh my god!
This is the early '60s.
Right. Yeah.
And for whatever reason, my father got the thought in his head that it was a different brother than the one who died. He had like 5 brothers, anyway, he got down to Waterford. Bear in mind, this is before people had telephones in their homes. This is the 60s, One person on the street had a phone, you might ring it, or you'd ask the police station to call up. Anyway, and he thought one of his brothers had died, and he gets off the train, and the person greeting him was the brother he thought he had died. He thought who had died. So he was, in one way, elated that he hadn't died, but then he goes, oh no, it was actually... Yeah, it's not me, Murty. It's Declan. Right. So he had this moment of elation, going, "Oh, you're alive!" Yeah. And then going, "No, it's Declan," and he felt almost worse about
sadness all over again.
Yeah. He tied him up. I mean, he tells me the story now, and he's still tied up about it. And this is 50 odd years ago. It's one of those things.
So yes. After saying goodbye to her daughter one last time, we go to sick bay and we see the 2 Troys holding hands. And then later in her quarters, they look at photos of Kestra, or a photo of Kestra, I should say, that Mr. Hom had saved. And Lwaxana wishes Deanna had a chance to grow up with her sister. And the younger Troi wants to know all about her. And that's how the episode ends. Bit of a sad ending to this episode. I think there's some goof about the photo and Mr. Hom saving it, because I don't think Mr. Hom was her aide back then.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I hadn't really thought about it so much as a goof as possibly just like a little bit of an extra story. But yeah, it was likely Zilo. Who was Lwaxana's attendant at the time of Kestra's death, which was, I think it was in Haven where that came out. But so Hom was Zilo's replacement, and Zilo must have apparently passed the picture on to Hom.
I see. But it's now the final question time of the day.
Is it only one, two options?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Brent was presented with a replacement Saturn Award this week. I didn't mention this earlier on purpose, as his original was stolen. And I have heard some of his convention talks where he mentions this,
Yeah.
But for which 97 film did he win it? A, First Contact, or B, Independence Day? So, which film was the best supporting actor in 1997?
Hang on.
And the bonus question, and yeah, it is a guess, well, an educated guess, but it is a guess nonetheless, because I doubt any of you know that off the top of your head. And the bonus question, what are the primary physical differences, between humans and betazoids? How can you tell the difference?
Okay, so I've got a few bits to pick up on Act 5. We talked about the wolf. Just before Deanna does her jump, there's a bit where you sort of focus on her face and she's looking down the corridor. And at that point, there's sort of all these shadows on the wall as somebody comes around with like probably a boom mic or something, but it's basically shadows of the crewmen manning the cameras.
I thought that was on purpose because it kept moving back and forth, and it happened on both sides. So I don't know. I think that was the director's choice. Sorry, please continue.
What was it?
I don't know. She was supposed to be in there on her own. As she was looking down the corridor, the one with the missing corridor where she jumps into the stars, you sort of zoom in on her face as she's looking at it, and there's like this sort of almost like a person's shadow kind of moves, and the light sort of pans around.
I'm thinking of a different scene. Sorry.
So yeah, and then as we mentioned, Marina Sirtis performs her own stunt. She leaps off a blue screen platform onto an air mattress, which was then matted in with Starfield and corridor walls. What else? Oh yeah, they ended up holding hands. It just sort of struck me like, how did that happen while they were unconscious? And I was thinking, if all of a sudden they were reaching out towards each other, it's a good job that Marquez guy wasn't still stood there, because they would have been reaching out at roundabout crotch level.
Woo!
Well, just from physics perspective, okay, they can project, maybe they can send out photons or something, but I would have thought a physical touch would just be stronger than a touch over air, same as, being wired into something is better than wireless.
I would imagine. This episode shows why Lwaxana is so overbearing towards Deanna, because obviously she's lost her husband, she's lost her other daughter, so that's why she's always the way she is. And it's just really nice, I think, to have that explanation of, it's not really character development, but it's explaining why her character is the way it is after we've seen her all these times throughout TNG. So I thought that was quite neat that they did that. This is one of the very few episodes in which the Enterprise bridge is not seen, along with episodes Family and Liaisons.
Oh, so there's only 3 episodes where the bridge isn't seen.
Yep.
Wow.
This marks the final appearance of Deanna and Lwaxana Troi together on screen. And as you mentioned earlier, this is Michelle Barrett's last appearance in TNG, but she does appear 3 more episodes of Deep Space Nine and continues to do computer voice, etc.
I have to say, I think this is one of her best performances of Deanna Troi. I think it's quite powerful when she's like angry and losing it, and I think she, it's a good bit of acting.
Lwaxana, is that?
Lwaxana, yeah.
Do you know what? I do have an aunt who reminds me a bit of her, and basically I have an aunt who had very strong mental illness, point was sectioned and everything else, but another aunt who was very similar who wasn't, but she was still had that kind of robust, positive kind of attitude about her, and it does remind me of her, that there was kind of this overly positive way of looking at life to kind of get over a trauma kind of thing. So I can definitely see it from a psychological point of view.
So, answers to the questions, Sean. What do we got?
Yeah. So the answers was, where am I? So he won it for First Contact, but he was nominated for Independence Day. Independence Day won Best Science Fiction Film over Star Trek First Contact. But when it came to the Best Supporting Actor, he won it for Star Trek First Contact over Independence Day. He was nominated for both. He also beat Skeet Ulrich from Scream, and Edward Norton from Primal Fear, Joe Pantoliano from Bound, and Jeffrey Combs of Deep Space Nine fame for The Frighteners. And so I said it got stolen, he got it replaced, but yeah,
it was A, but it wasn't for the reason that I thought it was. So I've actually ended up getting it right by a fluke.
But I just like the fact that of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nominations, he was nominated twice, and that's what drew me. And obviously, the news in the week, he was on stage, and someone came along and basically said, "Sorry, we owe you this. I heard it got stolen," and they gave him a duplicate. So I just like that. I just like that fact, and I built the question around it.
See, I was thinking the clue was 1997, so I thought Independence Day was maybe earlier. So
no, they were both the same year. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. See, that's where I went wrong.
You know, they're registered as 1996.
What's registered? Sorry.
Both movies are registered as 1996 films.
Oh, but it was the 1997 awards, because, the awards...
Oh, it's like the Oscars. It's like, early in the following year, but it's for the previous year
they have to,
yeah.
exactly. They have, like any awards, you have to judge them on the previous year.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, unlucky, but it was a 50-50, and and the primary physical differences, of course, black eyes, they have solid
black irises, I should have said, maybe, but...
Which I thought everybody had got right, except now I've realised Stu Plum says blue eyes. So, take Stu Plum off the wheel.
That's Dune!
Stu Plum, you're coming off the wheel, mate. His wheels are falling off his wagon.
Watch this be the one where Wookiee wins. This will be the one where Wookiee wins, and Stu Plum will be sitting pretty. Like,
oh, that would be good. I want that.
Wookiee.
Wookiee.
Ah, it's gone.
Not Ruth
again.
What? My
She's
gosh.
Cleaning up on the wheel.
This has been Ruth's night for the wheel, isn't it? I think she's had a word with Wookiee in private to, she's using her influence there to spin it. So there we go.
Right, so let's call a close on the bingo.
Close the bingo.
Those up.
Battlestar Galactica.
I haven't got a close
Lower
bingo
decks.
number. I will go with Resistance is Futile. There you go. Bingo is closed.
Oh, they're already totted up. Amazing.
Crumbs,
you just need a countdown.
FFS roof. I like the way he says roof as well with a Plymothian accent. Roof. That's how we say it down here.
You make fun of me for saying Ruth, and then you go roof.
Roof.
But we're not calling her Root.
No, that is true.
My favorite.
I've got a cold. That's my defence. I've still got a lingering bit of a cold, so I'm blaming it on that. There you go. That's what I'm doing.
I always think of Ruth when my kids are watching cartoons, because there's this British, or at least one where Ricky Gervais is the narrator as an alley cat, and it's the movie called Willoughby's, and they end up having this orphan baby, and they're living in this old mansion with parents that don't care about them, and they're like, look, if you don't get this baby out of the house, we're kicking you all out. And so the oldest son, who's trying to be this stoic heir to the Willoughby line as Min, he's taking charge, and he takes the baby to a candy factory, like a Willy Wonka type of guy, and they're like, and they have all these side jokes, and it's like she's a baby, and they're like, what's her name? Ruth. You mean like Baby Ruth, like the candy bar? And they drop her off at a candy factory, and then the boy turns around and he's like, no, we're the ruthless Willoughbys. And I just thought it was a really, really cute play on words that, just makes me think of Ruth, just because you don't hear that name often, at least where I'm from.
Tavi, I apologize because the bingo is over, but I have to throw this in now. So I was at a party recently, and I went for the beer, but the line was too long. I went for the line, the line was too long. And then I decided, okay, I'll go for the punch. And thankfully, there was no punchline. Oh yeah! There's an idea.
Just so you know, this entire evening I was going, that bastard hasn't put in a dad joke yet, and he knows I love him.
Sorry. Okay, well, okay.
It's like this is the second week in a row where he's gonna end this show. No dad joke.
For anyone who's waiting on a dad joke and a bingo, I apologize, but hey,
there you go.
Oh.
Okay, so start thinking about what you'd give this episode out of 10. From 0 to 10, what would you give this episode? Oh, we haven't spun the wheel.
Ready to go as well.
Are we giving it one last spin? Oh, we did. It was Ruth.
Yeah, we did. Ruth won.
We've done that. We've done everything. Okay. Oh, I need the spreadsheet.
I do have the scores ready to go, but while you're bringing this spreadsheet up, I've got a few more little bits and bobs. So this episode is referred to in Deep Space Nine episode The Muse, where Lwaxana gives her daughter's death as one of the reasons why she doesn't want to give up her unborn child, according to Tavnian law. Also, Deanna went on to name her own daughter, Kestra Troi Riker, after her late sister. And tragically, Deanna would also lose her own natural firstborn, Thaddeus Troi Riker, to mendaxic neurosclerosis.
She lost one before that, though, didn't she? Technically.
And Thaddeus...
Oh, yeah, and the child.
She gave birth in the first episode of the second season.
Yeah, no, and she called that child Ian after her father. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ian.
Yes, that's right.
So she lost Ian.
Ian Andrew Troi.
He came and went within a couple of weeks, didn't he? Bless him.
Yeah.
Ian.
She's had such a tragic life, really. Bless her.
But Thaddeus is named after Riker's American Civil War ancestor, who's featured in the episode Q2, I think, in Voyager. Mm-hmm. Apologies, someone's screaming in the air because I mentioned Voyager earlier. But it's a deep tie-in all the way back, and I love the continuity in the established lore.
I wonder
the writers on this.
I wonder if the Q eventually came to give Riker those powers because his family line had already been messed with the Q.
I think it was just Q just messing with him just to have fun. He was just playing a game. I don't think he ever really had the powers. Q was just doing what he wanted to do. But who's to say? There's no straight answer to that.
No, I thought it was. I think he was punished because Riker ended up turning it down, and then in another episode, it seemed like it was his duty to at least lure Riker into the Q or prove something with it, because at the end of that episode, you saw that he had some sort of dread that he didn't succeed in whatever his plot was. And then it seems like he has a job within the Q as well, especially when it comes to like Amanda, when he has to come back with these like human Q involvements.
Well, all I can say is we've all played games. I'm replaying Fallout New Vegas at the moment. I mean, the temptation just turn on God mode and just shoot everybody and not worry about the game. But where's the fun in that?
Sorry, what are you playing?
Fallout New Vegas.
Fallout. Oh yeah. Nice.
But like,
Wookie asks how many Troi picks did I show this week? I don't know, Wookie. A lot.
That's because he wants to take off half a point for every Troi picture, and that doesn't seem fair. It was 0 Troi pictures. Give us your score.
We need to take off a lot of points for a serious lack of the D, man.
I know.
He's in one scene.
Always about the D.
That we got a thorough load of D in the last one, so I'm still on a high from that.
That little side A he gave to Gates there, yeah, he wanted to, he wanted to do stuff.
Not that I want to sway anybody's opinion, but I meant to point this out during the episode. and I forgot. So apologies. But here's a shot you don't see in TNG very often. A scene just full of women talking to each other.
I like that.
Oh, the Bechdel test.
And not even talking about a man either. That's good.
They're talking about each other.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it's just. I just thought I'd point that out. It's just something you often see in Star Trek: The Next Generation, is it?
No.
Yeah, it's called the Bechdel test.
Yes.
The Bechdel test is there a scene in a film or a TV show where two women talk to each other, not talking about a man? Yeah, it's called Bechdel, presumably after the guy who posited it. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, just thought I'd point that out. That
Fair point.
this episode was good for the Bechdel test.
Yeah. I mean, there other than a little bit of Data and a little bit of Picard, everyone else got a day off. It was all the women.
I did find it a little bit like, I don't know, but the first thing that guy said when he saw her that she looks beautiful, and then the first thing her dad or fake dad said when she saw her, she looks beautiful. Couldn't have said anything else about her, just that she looks beautiful. Right. Could have said something more. There's more to say about a person than just
I think also, I don't know if I have to ask Gideon, but I think if he saw suddenly his daughter grown up, his first thought would be like, "You're so big, you're not you're beautiful."
Yeah,
it's like I don't know.
Well,
at least as a parent.
We give a lot away by our body language. The way you walk into a room, whether you're an arrogant bastard or you're very meek, or you're somewhere in the middle, or you're charismatic, that you're walking in like Elvis and shaking hands. I mean, there's a hell of a lot that you can tell about someone before you even speak to them. In the first 10 seconds, you just view literally how they walk. And
yes.
It is a bit lazy, but it was the 90s.
Yes.
I mean, these episodes are 30 years old. What are you going to do?
Wookie said he thought it was just going to be a Troi-centric mind.
We had two of those. We've had two of those.
That's what we often get. But then actually thinking about it, in the middle of this episode, he does actually invade her mind without permission. So it does kind of happen anyway. Even if it wasn't the actual
conversation with
thrust
Picard,
of the episode.
This happens too often.
He does go. Like,
Yeah, I think
where's the spreadsheet, Monty?
Oh, sorry, my bad. I'm getting there. Sorry.
You said you were doing that earlier, and I was like, I have a few more comments while you're doing that, and you still haven't done it.
I had in the background. I'd done it. It's there, but I forgot to switch it on. It's more of a mind grab.
Sorry, Sean.
Yes.
I was just gonna say, I think Deanna's a character. They did shoehorn her, and it was very hard to do things with her because they didn't establish she was good with engineering or could get herself out of a hole. She was just all emotions and talking.
She crashes the Enterprise.
Yeah. Oh, did you see the clip?
I've seen it. Yeah. I saw that. That's great.
Oh,
very good.
Well, if you wanted to play it, I think our audience would appreciate it.
I'll play it after we've done this. We'll put it on.
Yeah. Okay, we'll finish.
Okay, so where are we with the quiz then?
Quiz. So 10 points.
Drum roll.
400 review points is Tavikin.
Oh,
What?
she's stroking out in the lead again.
Was it the bingo?
Yeah, you beat Monty by 10 points because you got 20 points in the bingo.
Woohoo!
Ooh.
And Monty Bang got. Oh, you did get 10 points. Oh, actually, I lie. Sorry. You got 10 points in the bingo, Monty Bang. That means you were tied at 400 points apiece. So you both get 10 points.
Oh, we both get 10 points.
Sorry, I missed that.
I'll lay off now.
Bingo in.
I joined
next.
first? What? How did that happen? I think I even got like one or two questions wrong.
You got the first question wrong, but so did Tabby.
Oh, did I get everything else right, did I?
And then you got everything else right. You got one bonus spin, and Tabby got 10 points more than you on the bingo, so that's how you evened up.
Wow.
Okay, so next is
Who said bingo's not
Stuplum
important?
with 8 points. He was
8
35
points to
kg points
Stuplum.
behind
So
you.
that's 54.
Next, somehow, is my good self. I beat Ruth out just by 10 points. That's 7 points for me. I got a few more than Ruth on the bingo. So Ruth has got 6 points. 6 points for Ruth.
54.
And then behind Ruth is Time Lord. So 5 points for Time Lord.
39.
And then Smiler and Mr. T both got the same on bingo. They both got 5 lines on bingo. That's insane. So yeah, 4 points each for Mr. T and Smiler.
5 lines.
Yeah.
My
they were
God.
cleaning up.
So sorry, 5 lines and 5 by 5 is in the whole board.
We've got 4 bingo cards, so they could have had like 1 line on one, 2 lines on one.
Okay.
That's a record though for a number of bingo lines.
I know I play into it, but I didn't think I played into it that much. Sorry, go on.
I'm enjoying it. These bingo cards this round have been like really thin, but then certain days everyone's cashing in, like today.
Yeah. And now, well, there's a lot in the top 3. There's Tavikins way out in front on 60. There's Ruth and Stuplum in the silver position. And there's Mazza and Monty in the bronze position. And then we've got Time Lord, then Smiler, Mr. Tavikins, and G-Star. Yes. Yes. Well done, Smiler. She's like, whoop, whoop. Lots of points for Smiler Rainbow.
Cool. So, marks out of 10 then.
So, marks out of 10. Think about what you'd want to give this episode.
Mine's ready.
We've got a 6 from Ruth. I think we had a 7 from Time Lord. We've got 7 from Stuplum. 5 from Wookiee.
From Wookiee, yeah.
So
that gives us 6.25 average for audience.
Have your paddles ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Oh, it's a real
8,
spread.
7, 6, 4.
7, 6, 4, 8.
Wow. I thought Tavi would be more on my level. Never mind.
7.
Why?
6 for me.
6.
8 for
there's
Tavi.
no D.
8.
Very little D, man.
It was low data, but I got so much
Audience
good data last week,
audience.
and then he referred to the dreams again this week, and I was like, ooh, yeah. It's a lot of things you can infer from dreams. Woo!
I will say
that's messing with my head. That's messing with my head a little bit.
Right. This is another one of those episodes that's kind of skips my thought processes because it's not one that I'd choose to watch. Because it doesn't involve spaceships and explosions and enterprises blowing up and timey-wimey things.
And there's no moral.
Episode,
yes.
There's no moral lesson in it.
That's the thing about it that got me, Maz, is I thought it was heartfelt performances and it moved me. So that's why, despite it originally with having low points, because it was so nicely done, I thought actually it was a very good episode. A lot better than what I would have given it in the past. If you'd asked teenage me, I'd have gone, well, that was boring, wasn't it? But no, dad me with a daughter and whatnot. Dad me finds it a very emotional episode. So yes, yeah, changed my opinion completely on it. Mazram Stuplum.
I really like this episode because I was tantalized from the beginning because there's all this stuff going on in space, but you never see it. And it is always like chaos and conflict. But this time you get to see diplomatics between a non-member world and an alien that has physiology that you just can't equate to humanity. And so they're bringing in other aliens to see if you can talk to each other. And it was something as simple as these people didn't develop the need to speak. And what's great, like humanity, like humans, like before we started learning how to speak, we didn't even have the hearing range to pick up the sounds for speaking. So so it's cool to see, wow, this is a place that did it, and their minds just connected. And then there's like, oh, there's different types of telepathy, because they're doing it with a flood of pictures because there are just no sounds. And Beta Zeds, they can use both, where they can speak in your head and be in your head, but it's not visual. It's more semantic. And I really like that, and it wasn't easy. Like, it was physically straining to have to do that. And yeah, I thought this showed more of the United Federation of Planets, and not just the flagship blowing up something, or Picard giving one of his self-righteous awesome speeches. And then it's centered on like a character that is big in the Star Trek TNG realm. I mean, there's books about Beta Z and everything, and it comes on later, and she ends up going into Deep Space Nine. And I like that they gave Majel Barrett's character on the way out some respect, because she was a punchline. She was a joke the entire time. The overbearing comical mother. It's like, no, there are people like this, and probably there's some reasons for the way people are, because everybody's got some shit they're dealing with, and this was heavy enough stuff to warrant why she behaves the way she does. And I did like it, and I did like that it wasn't about a bunch of dudes. Mind you, I don't feel episodes need to. I don't think they need to compensate for paying attention to everyone, like a diverse group with demographics. I mean, and progression. But it's nice to see that they do it. I think this episode did like a full pendulum swing to the opposite end, where it's like basically no guys. But it was refreshing to see that there were times in which women do dominate the scene, and the story was understandable, as in, why would there be a bunch of dudes in this scene outside of the diplomatic thing? Because it was Troy, it was the mother, the females that were in sick bay.
Well, this is what I always say about modern shows, and they're always trying to hit these tick boxes, and they need a certain amount of people that are not white, or people of color, or people of diversity, whatever term they use. But they're it's filmmaking by box ticking. They're trying to hit all these tick boxes. This is a natural story that lends itself to a situation where there's not a lot of men in the story, and that's perfectly fine. Because the story it's story driven, and it just happens the story drives it into a place where there's not a lot of men, and we're like, perfect.
Yeah, you've got to be careful that that's some people can sometimes see box ticking where it's not. Like people can say, oh, another like strong female character, and it's like, well, frankly, half films should be. Why does it have to be that it's a diversity thing each time there's a strong female character? Half of them should have strong male characters. Half, we're 50% of the population. It's not always box ticking. It's just statistics.
No, well, that is also true, and I agree that there should be more stories about women, but there is a difference between shoehorning women into a story where they maybe don't belong. Say you're making Band of Brothers and you make half of them women, and it just messes up the story. Instead of just going, okay, we need to make more stories about women. What can we do historically? What can we make stories about the Amazons or whatever it is? Versus let's like change things to make them not historically accurate. So, but this is a perfect example where organically it made sense, and I'm happy to see more of that. I just think sometimes they take a story, it makes sense, and then it doesn't really make sense to have women in it, but they put women in it just to tick a box, and then it messes up the story, and it doesn't deliver the message you want to deliver. That's what I'm saying.
I did appreciate the director shooting this episode from the viewpoint of like a female gaze, but still making it visually satisfying. I don't know, maybe if it was satisfying for the men, but Diana still looked like a bombshell, but it wasn't just look at my low cut shirt and my skin tight outfit. But she had that dress that was pink and purple.
She
had her legs
had a bit of
out,
swagger.
Yeah, she was looking beautiful, but she wasn't looking, you know, like big boobed Borg Barbie 7 of 9 stupid.
Well, I quite liked how they painted. I can't what his name was now. How you pronounce it? The telepathic chap, Magwez.
Yeah.
I like the way they. You know, he was a perfectly nice
Guy. Yeah.
Nice guy. Just there, promoting his race. You know, being a diplomat towards the Federation. But I do like how they kind of like kept you on your toes about his motives and
is he a
almost
predator?
painted him
like
as a kind of like potential wrong-un. You know, because
red herring.
Made
I
him
like
feel. Sorry, Sean. Can you just let me talk a minute, mate? I just think. Where's my button?
Shut up, Sean.
Shut up, Sean. Because at the end of the day, despite him looking human with lobes stuck to his head, he's alien, and his alien ways would be strange to us, you know? And I think it's good how they sort of painted that kind of like, you know, what, you know, when he's like stood there in a darkened room looking really sinister. But in his mind, he's there trying his best to help out and try to save this woman who he's grown to attach to from she helping him learn to talk and that, you know? And it's an interesting take, I think, and I think it's done really well. You can talk.
I don't understand why Troi didn't end up taking him out on a date at least. I'm like,
yeah,
I would have talked to dude. I would have more than I would have Riker. Even like when she got married to Riker, and then I understand they're the love story that's just supposed to happen, but I'm like, do you two really go together in the end? Really? I don't know. I feel like she could have done better. I know you can kick me off the show now, but
well, Riker was her Amzadi. She had a special, I suppose, telepathic resonance with Riker that she didn't have with other people.
Well, that's fine, but he was a dick. Oh, honey, I got to get my career, and you're after that, and then I just stopped messaging you.
But they had the Force thing going on where they could read each other's thoughts. They just were genetically compatible. And obviously that carried over to Thomas Riker a little bit. But I agree with what you're saying, but I also say there was a genetic component as well.
They completed each other's sandwiches.
Some other reception stuff. I mean, you mentioned about Lwaxana being in books. Actually, this what was revealed in this episode was further expanded on in a novel called The Art of the Impossible. And in terms of general reception from the crew and such, Jerry Taylor remarked, ultimately, I think it worked really well. It was an emotional episode. It provided a depth to Mr. Troi character that we've not seen before. Naren Shankar said that he thought Renee, who did the rewrite, did a magnificent job. And on IMDb, it scores a 6.4, which is very similar to our score there.
Yeah, we got it almost spot on then with the 6.2. I think maybe it's a little low, Sean. But you can look at it one of two ways. You can it's currently fifth best episode of this season so far. Or it's the third worst.
Out of 5.
But it's a solid episode, I think. Very good. Right, now for an announcement. There will be no TNG review next week. It's
cue reaction from Tavi.
Yeah, sorry, Tavi. Sorry, Sean. There will be no TNG review next week. It's half term, and so we're going to be away on holiday, so no TNG review next week.
Did I not tell you that I have a need? Okay.
She has a need for her weekly fix. Oh.
But there's a back catalogue of lots of TNG reviews currently up on the vaults. So if you ever feel the need, pick a good Data episode and relive past
Pick a
glories.
random first series episode that you haven't seen because you didn't know us then.
Yeah. Yeah. And in that way as well, you won't even have to watch yourself. So it's double bonus.
I'll go back to old Data ones. I haven't been able to watch any of these shows afterwards because I can't stand the sound of my own voice.
Well,
so I don't watch
I'm the same.
Yeah.
Measure of a Man is out there. You weren't on that one. That's way back in season 2. You watch that one.
That episode pisses me off too much sometimes.
Yes, I know what you mean.
I can respect why you feel that way.
Yeah.
But the ending is good. And if it makes you feel any better, next week's episode has basically no Data in it. It's attached. Or next week, or the next episode, not next week's episode.
Attached? What's that?
Yeah. Beverly and Picard are stuck as prisoners on a planet and have to escape, and they have the little things on their necks and they can't get away from each other. Yeah. So it's just Picard and Beverly the whole episode, you know.
Like Wedlock.
There's no...
that film.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
so they can't get more than 10 foot away from each other or they like collapse in a heap.
Yeah. But that'll be in 2 weeks' time. So yeah, sorry about that.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, it suits me, Governor, because I'll be travelling back from Bedford next Wednesday, so it means we can travel in the evening without interrupting my day of work. Tweaks, as Wookie says. Tweaks.
Okay.
Well, I was doing...
Sorry, go on, Sean.
I was going to say, I was doing the Total Recall thing. 2 weeks.
Yes.
Oh, there's Quark.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us on the... There he is in the background.
Oh, gracious.
And thank you to... Who do we have in live chat this evening then? We had Wookie, the Workmeister General. Thank you for joining us this week. Thank you to Stuplum. Thank you to Smiler Rainbow. Our wrench for being taxi for our son and coming on when you could. Thank you to Andrew for coming along. Thank you for Tired Time Lord. Thank you for Ruth. Did I say Stuplum? I think I did. Thank you to
John.
Oscar.
Oscar.
Richard. Oscar was actually Marla, by the way.
Oh, was
she got herself Mama Martine. Her cat's called Martine. So that's my de facto mother-in-law. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's nice of her to come along and say hello.
Yeah.
Lovely. Nice. So, yes, thank you. I think that was interesting. Sorry? What?
Did you say the beard?
Yeah, we said the beard. Someone said the beard.
I did.
Yeah, Mazma Bob thanked the beard.
Call him Pooch on there. I normally call him Mr. T. Or...
Yes, we will see you in 2 weeks' time for another episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. Cheers.